I think I did. There we go. Oh, and there is a con to this lighting, huh? My teeth is rather dark, isn't it? We are going to fix that. I hope. First, my overlays. Let's get everything up and running. Opacity increase. Lock. Close the menu. Check. 1, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, minimum brightness does play a big role, doesn't it? Let's stick with that then. Why, hi there, Blue Scales, Kendall, and Hilulis, Etheria, Reed, who is unfortunately enduring a shirt which has met its rather feline demise. How is everybody today? Huh, is my headset loose or... I'm not sure actually. Let's see. Do I need to move the camera a bit to the left? Down here. Just like before. There. A bunch of people are joining right off the bat, I see. I was waiting for you to go live. Well, here I am. Hi there, Milo. Milo, you have a rather strange comment on my most recent photo over at X. What do you mean by daddy?
Hey, Geb. Just saying hi and good night.
Now, what do you know? If it ain't Ilishka. Well, good night. Yes, it's 10:23 p.m. over at where you are, and most of the people go retire at that hour. Sleep well, Ilishka. Thanks for dropping by. And also, thank you for the subscription. One more month and then it's gonna be a year, huh? A year. How quickly time flies. Blink of an eye and then a month goes. 2, 3. Why, hello, line. Blue Scale says, I was playing Overwatch with my friend and suddenly got a notification that you were live. So I shut my PlayStation 4 down and ran. You ditched your friend. That's not good, Blue Scales. Oh my goodness. At least message your buddy, hey, some urgent matters popped up and I had to go. My girlfriend thinks your accent is beautiful, says Ethereal. Where are you from? I am from the Philippines, where it's currently stormy on all fronts. Downpour, rain, high humidity, and floods. What's new? At the very least, go. By the way, I'm loving your country, Gab. How's the rain treating you, Lishka? Here you are, right in the start of rainy season. The monsoon is blowing its rather damp presence over our entire country. Huh. Hello, Phoenix. Alicia continues. We were driving the motorcycle today. It was totally dry. Then in seconds, we were totally drenched. Oh, were you in the back? It's always a fun experience when you're a pillion rider. Especially in lands that are unknown. Unknown with fresh wind and a very nice locale. Are you Filipino? Yes, I always have been. Never hid the fact. your goggles. Oh, my goggles. They're over here by my thigh, see? Can't see it from that angle, but I often just put it by my side whenever I'm not wearing. I figured I'd take it off for a while. I mean, I can always put it back on top of my head if you're not used to the aesthetic. I can't wear it down over my neck because it's gonna be a hard thing pulling it, and then, yeah, so it stays here. Luscious hair, says Pink Dew. Pink Dew, who made essentially album cover art tier material for me. I showed it during the last stream. And it's also the thumbnail of my VoD, the stream on the 21st. The enemy had the. Oh, okay. I like how the hair looks without the goggles. I honestly thought it would take some getting used to, dear guys. Ah, yes, I am inconveniently cropped thanks to my long nose. Go read some more comments. I ordered a phone case with my profile picture from TikTok, says Toby Johnson. A customizable one. Can't wait till it's here soon. Ain't it always nice having something, an article that is truly sculpted and catered to yours? What's this? Ah, if it isn't Beth, taking a sip from a martini, totally not whiskey, leaning on his newly gold-plated railings on his yacht, the 23rd one. And he goes, how's it going, Gibbs? Hopefully the rain died over there. I'm just joking, Beth. Nice to have you here. I'm surprised that I have gained so much lovely regulars in such a quick amount of time. Over the past week or two, I've noticed my Discord just brimming with activity, when normally it would be such a dormant place. Not complaining, though. The goggles are cool, but honestly, I like this look more. Really? I've always felt naked without them. It's. I look like Mozart, don't I? How was your day, asked Toby. I hope you've seen the toddler. I think that kind of solidifies the point that a lot of us are going to be progeny free. And you spit flames. Not flames, but something rather more shocking. Hey, Geb, is Vesper coming to stream with us today? She is currently logging on as we speak. So yes, we're gonna have our orange companion joining us. Yes, I am. Most people think I'm the aquatic kind. I mean, I can swim, but that's not my forte. Currently, things are more of the electrical sort of variety going on. Axel says I was gonna join VC last night, but too many people on it. I mean, there's the drive-thru, and then if you've collected enough food stamps, you can make it up into the dine-in and go mingle with the others. Ain't that funny? My Discord is sort of like a McDonald's, and you earn loyalty points by dining there regularly. A stretch redeem. Man, I think I put my trackers too high up my thigh. Do you have super hearing with that many ears? The ear increase has diminishing returns, that's what I can say. Maybe I hear a bit better, sure. But I guess my head just filters out all the extra information and noise that it doesn't want to listen to. Have you ever been this symmetrical? If anything, I'm rather asymmetrical. You see, when I make the facial tracking blend shapes, I make the left and right ones ever so slightly different from each other. Most go mirror it and then that's it. Me, well, you can't see it because I'm predominantly side view. Me, I think it's a bit more. How should I say this? Organic when there's imperfections in it. High fidelity, but it doesn't have to be symmetrical. So yeah, I tweaked Hans Creations' lovely facial tracking template that you can get to better cater to my needs. Hmm. Those ears are made to hear the cha-ching of the nations from miles away. Shh. Let's chat now. How do your trackers work? Do you have little pads that you wear? Or do you see a camera view of yourself in man? I think to answer your question, Blue Scales, you simply have to go to YouTube and read how to set up slime VR trackers. It's a very straightforward thing. It will explain how the wireless systems work, how the body proportions and mountings work, and whatnot. You also find out why it's such an economical choice when it comes to FBT. Should I save money or should I go blowing it all away on things I don't even need? I think the answer is the middle ground. You type exclamation point tip, and then I will have your money for safekeeping. How about that, buddy? Bad life advice. I seriously get some Need for Speed vibes from that blue collar of yours. Need for Speed? Is it because I'm in a nighttime, well, more of a nightlife-ish area? I figured I'd play around with the red lighting and have it more of a graphical, novel look. You know, sharp contrasts, opposing colors. It's for safekeeping, but you can't get it back. Yes, think of it as a time deposit. Let's say if it's longer than your lifespan. Hello, Pino. He gives me Gara's vibe. Ah, Commander, you're catching me while I'm not doing calibrations, huh? Alright, alright. Hi there, Litz. Speaking of regulars, if it ain't one of the faces I'm delighted to see. The little fluffy, roly-poly of a raccoon that shows up during meetups. First meetup, anxious, full body, best presentation. Second meetup, still full body, start swapping around the looks. And then third and fourth, she has now resigned to being a fluffy couch potato and just logging on desktop mode, yes. He owned the behind you. Of course not. You think I have enough money to own an establishment? Please. Need for Speed Carbon. I remember playing Need for Speed in the PlayStation 2 long, long ago. Little raccoon is very funny and cute. Yes, you need to embrace the ball, or we can just like squish. Where you live, may I ask? Why ain't that a creepy question to ask? I'm okay, Ultra. Maybe a bit of a change in the angles. Vesper can't start up her VR chat properly. Let's see. There's here. You're supposed to be there. There's me. For those curious about the full body. This is weird. It's like there's foreshortening when it's coming from below. Maybe if it's from here. There. A little better. Oh, am I even on the stool? There we go. I like floating in the pool as beach balls. Blue Scales, I think one of your more pressing priorities would be to find a working computer. Also, I noticed the same track has been on loop since earlier. Where's this? There we go. That's what we're all familiar with. Ecliptic Shadow wishes to join the Shadow Guild. How apt of a name. I wonder who this individual is. I'll check it out after. Where your Sonas model made a bit of a fragmented sentence, but I assume you're asking me how or who made it. You can get the base, the Hydra Gaia, my model, over at Tokyo Zilla's Gumroad. There. That's pretty much it. I swap it around. No, it doesn't work. Oh, you feel the pain we all went through. What's this? Watched a bunch of videos last night on Abyss and I'm feeling overconfident in customizing my own. I can't wait to see how much I really don't know. Oh, I hope you fare better than I did when it comes to absorbing all the pertinent 3D knowledge required for avatar customization for VR chat. You will have to go through three things: modeling and rigging over at Blender, texturing over at preferably something like Substance Painter, and then making sure everything works over at my beloved Unity. No, oops, sorry about that, Vesp. There you go. Hi there, Waffle Car. I think I'm waiting for confirmation to squeeze this. Squeeze? What do you mean, squeeze? How are you with our two crazy typhoons in our place right now? Oh, let me tell you, I am thankful I actually have just enough supplies to probably ride out the storm without necessitating a huge grocery visit. Nothing sucks more than having to ride your motorcycle under rain, and it's not a ride for leisure. It's you riding to the supermarket and then you have to lug around so much over at the rear and the side boxes. And yeah. How high is the flood? I'm not sure. But my area is actually one of the places in which it doesn't flood badly. Well, at least I think they patched it up. Before it would reach until your waist, but I believe the Department of Public Works has actually done their job. Hello, Vesper.
Hi.
What in? If it ain't my companion, Chan. Speaking about her earlier. How are you today? Free from extracurricular work?
Doing good.
There you go. She's doing good, Chan. That's what matters. Alright, I feel weird without my goggles on. Put it back. But yes. Anywho, chat, hi, this is Vesper, and chat is replying and greeting in kind. Candle going ahoy, Vesper, Blue Scales, Phoenix, Lebede, Reed, Pink Jew, and, well, a whole lot more. Looks like you have a sizable amount of fans now. What do you know, Vesp? You're well liked. Hard not to. Right. Hmm. Where were we? So, does Vesper do her own streaming too? No, she just stays here. We're kind of a duo.
Mm-hmm.
Her avatar gives Team Fortress to Team Fortress to. Oh, you're talking about
Team Fortress 2?
the announcer girl with glasses. I know who you're talking about. I think she's cute.
Oh.
How's the essays going? Vesper asks, not Beth Jessens.
Oh, after like 6 hours, I actually finally got it done.
Can you believe 6 hours working straight on the darn thing? It was pretty much your entire daytime yesterday. You could finish close to dinner, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. Schoolwork. Thank goodness I'm done with all that. Math, trigonometry. Oh, calculus. Yikes.
Algebra.
Algebra. Oh.
Statistics.
Things and paths I am glad I have completed, and I never have to revisit again.
At least I'm done with the math portion of learning for the time being.
Right. Did you do the ever so exciting classical music thing? Tell me it's done at least.
Yes, the essay's done.
You sure? 100%?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Oh, yeah? I feel like my neck is twisted at such an angle that it's gonna make it sore soon. Let me adjust the overlays. Let me put it here. There we go. Much better. Perfect. Earlier I was just like this. Now I can like turn a bit more. Ultra Zoxy is now here for Vesper. No longer Gemas. That's okay. Like I would sit next to you. Vesper is lovely after all. If you're gonna do or something, but do a VR meetup, Litz, I got you. You're the first on the list then. I expect to see you in full body fidelity. Huh. I wonder if this funny bar is gonna move today and actually buy time for chat. And here I am well rested and well fed prior to stream. And most of all, we have Vesper as a companion. What better time? Also, the apartment renovations are because it's been raining nonstop for the past week, and it's gonna be raining for another week. Even most of the deliveries that I've ordered, the plywoods, the seats, the insulating foam, and the acoustic panels, well, half of them, they haven't arrived yet. Well, pretty much because the delivery vehicles are unable to cross floods, and they're not paid enough to do so. But very much on track that I plan to complete things by this August. Thank you to the bump of our generous supporters the past few streams. Now, speaking of past streams, I'm not sure if this is day 3 or day 4 of my fundraiser. I don't remember, Vesp. I think it's day 3 at the minimum.
Last stream you titled it day. I think last time you titled the stream English, please. Last time you titled the stream saving up part 2, so I think this would be day 3.
Day 3 it is then. Means I'm not incorrect. Thank goodness, would have been embarrassing if it was. But yeah. One of the cons of being well fed prior to stream, though, is If you eat a meal good, such in the case of the cheap but delicious kebab on rice I got from a place nearby, you do tend to become sleepy because you're well sated. Hmm. I'm pretty sure it's day 4. I did it. You know what? I'm gonna change it. It's gonna be day 4 then. Day 4. Done. There you go. Aha, Doran is adding to the subscriptions. Thank you for the month. Doran the funds. I move it a little. Yes, chat. I appreciate it. It doesn't matter. $1, $2, 3, maybe 40,000. It's a thank you from me all the same. It helps. Period. My apologies if there's no rewards like how there's clown around with. I think he's streaming elsewhere, says Arvo Sandalite. I am streaming in multiverses. Yes. That's what we can say. Starts with the T and rhymes with itch. Ah, yes. Chat, I am, yes, here and there at the same time. So I read 2 messages, one here, one there. So I am unable to keep track of everything in real time. So pardon the delays if some of the messages do get skipped. Vesper sounds like a good reason to donate. Go ahead, Vesper. Persuade chat why you are a good idea in order to support the cause of moving this blue and black dragon into a better unit.
Well, number one, he'd have a lot more space to be doing things that he'd normally wouldn't be able to. So he'd be able to dance. He'd be able to properly work out.
All right, the dance. Why do you have to remind chat that I'm gonna dance? They're supposed to forget about. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see.
Libby, thank you for the roses.
He won't be sleeping on a loft bed and risking hitting his head every time he goes up to go to bed.
That's true. That's true.
So you keep your streamer from getting injured. His cat also has a lot more space at the same time as well.
So yeah, chat. It may seem like small things, a small list of variables that are gonna get improved, but oh, trust me, it's a huge quality of life. Imagine having to wake up and hitting your head on the ceiling because you have to contend with the loft bed's, well, size restrictions. I can't sit down on my bed. I've never been able to for the past few years. Wow, that sounds weird, huh?
Yeah, not to mention he's sitting underneath that very loft bed right now because of his limited space. So
She makes a
whenever
convincing
he gets
argument.
up for stream, he's gotta be careful not to hit his head.
You know what, Amazon, not Amazon, the government of Lithuania, sorry, Beth said, you make a rather convincing argument, Vess. What do you know? Beth, thank you so much. My goodness. Did you end up playing Peak yesterday? No, we didn't because you went to bed. Maybe if you were up and said, oh yes, guys, I would like to play Peak with you. Oh. That's a terrible Litz impression. Also, in case you didn't hear it, thank you, Beth. Ain't it nice? It's sort of like holding a jazz club or a little bar or restaurant, and then you have your regulars actually becoming regulars. It's flattering. Some say seeing the same faces with each passing day gets boring. It's quite the opposite for me, actually. It really is. Oh, hi there, Jay. Did you get a new suit? Of course not. What kind of detective are you? Private or crime? I think I'm called extra normal anomalous affairs and events. We investigate strange things in strange places, made by strange entities. And we find a way to integrate them into. I'll tell you about the mission vision later. Beth coming in with a donation. Beth here is the one, like, imagine a restaurant. It's quiet, right? Sitting idly, the chat, the staff looking next to each other, left and right. And then all of a sudden, Beth is the first person to go order up the pizzas, and we have the smiles on our face because we get to warm up the oven and bake some so delicious meals. And then the rest of the restaurant's gonna like smell it, or the passerbys outside like, Do you know how when you pass by a grill house or a barbecue place, and sometimes on purpose they put the ventilation blowing towards the street, so all of the smell of the food will attract more customers? It's quite the clever tactic, actually. It would have been a little earlier. I would have stayed. I know. Look, yesterday we had some homework to do. Vesper was swamped with her school thing. I had to do some fixes over at Unity and Blender, actually, which I got completed, thank goodness. That's... Whew. My bracelet doesn't look out of place anymore. It was oddly light gray. Lucid Mlem says, I heard Cinnabon uses yes, especially the bakeries. The bakeries are pretty much the biggest culprit when it comes to nasally attracting. No, how do you say? Scent? Olfactory? Scent, smell. Aroma. Attracting customers via aroma. Do you like perfume? A few select scents that are not too strong. As long as it doesn't sting the nostrils, and sure, you'll have it over my wrist and then my neck. Best made a good argument. More space for the cat. You see, Beth was excited about the idea of having an apartment for the fishes. Now, another convincing argument was because of my cat. So it's not about the streamer, I see. Damn, I am wounded. If Yami ends up having a better bedroom and space, whenever I turn off the camera, I'm gonna sleep over at his like little cat bed. Yes, little king-sized cat bed with a deluxe memory foam and pocket springs and everything on it, thermal insulation liners and all that crap. You know, I love you too, man. Bread, yes. I'm doing good, Ethan. This is called Bar Side Rail. It's one of the newer worlds which has, if I recall correctly, light volumes. Streamer is a emissary for the cat. When you realize Yami is actually me, right? And the human owner is just a fake persona. We can't let the world know a sentient cat exists and he has access to streaming and has a VR headset that fits.
Question is, how would you be sitting like a man if you were a cat?
Oh, trust me, I have my way. Well, the pairing hat, of course. Look, Vesper has it too. Yeah, the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's the. So when she was sleeping, I just put some blue permanent marker on her hand. No, I'm just joking. It's more than that. Pure skill, yes. Which is better, watching your stream? Of course, because the view is wide. And instead of being constrained here, which is where TikTok ends, you can go all the way, well, here. And you get to see my funny bar that is moving. Moved quite a lot again today. Thanks, Beth. Let me see. I wonder if Anonymous and not Anonymous is around somewhere. Probably, probably like mugging some fancy bank or something, so they can like toss a few coins my way. Hi there, Lenora. Are you a cat? You're on to something. Can I ask a question? Go ahead. Is this model completely new? Well, if you consider me driving it around for 2 weeks new, then yes. Yeah, go ahead. Go draw me. Draw me like one of those French dragons of yours. Wait, do the French dragons look cool? Like Don Quixote. Is Don Quixote? No, Don Quixote is Spanish. And he was not fighting dragons, he was fighting windmills because he had really bad eyes. Did you know the tale of Don Quixote? No. Don Quixote was a knight, brave atop his steed, always thought himself a hero. And every day he would go out into the fields and charge and say he will slay these giants, taunting him from the distance. But the thing is, he had very blurry vision and he thought of these giants as real when in reality they're just windmills, just rotating. Senile old man. Yeah, that sort of thing. Adios mio. Yeah, the bar is cool. Most French dragons only have 2 legs. Oh, are they rendered as worms? You know, just wings and the leggies and the funny badly drawn fire. Hi, that's me. Yes. Itchy. I did wonder how you were. So you thought Litz during our last community hangout and her little roly-poly raccoon of an avatar was physically tumbling and rolling around in her room to get around. That is an extremely humorous thought to entertain. So just Litz, hey guys, and then like she physically rolls on her floor to get to you. How do I get verified on the Discord? 1. You have to be 18 and above to join. There's no funny stuff there. I just don't like managing kids. 2. You have to go read the handbook. Joining my Discord isn't just clicking the link and it's a one and done deal. No, I want people who are there to actually be there because they want to and they're gonna contribute something. Well, at the very least, an introduction of themselves. And where am I? 4, 5? I don't remember. Next is you have to make sure you read the rules. And for me to guarantee you read the rules, I've hidden a password somewhere there, which you have to type in order to access the rest of the channels. I think trying to roll around will break something in my spine. Why, Morty is sending a super GG. Thank you. An impossible thing to crack the password from. Funny because there are people, as I mentioned last time, they were able to guess the password in very short order. This may sound mean, chat, but there is a specific stat and, well, perceptual and cognitive requirement in order for you to actually join the Discord properly. This also combats any bots, spammers, and would-be scammers because they're gonna think, damn, it's so much of a bother to get into this Discord. I might as well, not.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it doesn't really stop all the scammers from, popping in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, say, just last week I had to ban 2 people for advertising false goods that honestly they couldn't even provide.
Yes. So yeah, that's what, Chan. Huh. Immediately, I am a bit thirsty, so it's time to hydrate. Yeah. Wow, that's tight. And no telling the password, yes. If I catch any of you telling another person the password, that person and you are getting banned. By the way, there's a reward system. If you tell me, you send me a screenshot of somebody DMing you the password, I'm gonna let you in and I'm gonna evict the other person who's in. How about we do that bounty hunter system, yeah? So you can't just go, shh, let's not tell Gib. There's incentive for telling on your would-be rule breaker friend. Lenora, you call yourself 19. I'm sure you'll have the comprehension to understand what the password is. If you don't, then maybe that place isn't fitting for you. Come on, don't beg for the password. It's not good. Reem says, if I saw you sitting at a bar like that in an RPG game, I'd immediately think you're a recruitable companion. What makes you think I'm not? Oh, getting me to join your party is ever so simple, really. Item prerequisites, you should know what it is by then. Maybe a little bit of coin to smoothen the deal, and then it's a yes you're gonna get from me. Lit says I'm sorting through my clothes right now and I'm bamboozled at how much I actually own. It's unsurprising that girls own a lot of things, be it plushies, toys, or shoes. I'm sure you fall under one of those categories. The same way as
I get a lot
boys
of stuff.
own a lot of unnecessary stuff like 2 sets of wrenches, every drill bit that we find interesting because it has a different metal composition. And not to mention all of those nice rechargeable toys that we use in the workshop and whatnot. Oh, you'll never know when we need this electric hand grinder, you know? Bribery, I see. Bribery, please. It's more of an act of generous convincing, really. Incentivizing why I should join you. I would definitely drift around these two. A wonderful evening to you. 6 10mm sockets that are surprisingly missing all the time. Yeah, it's my 10mm's and my 10mm's and my 12mm's that are the most used, and my open wrenches too. Not to mention the Allen wrenches that we keep on forgetting to replace. The edges are like rounded already, and then, like, yep, I'm gonna order, and then you keep on forgetting to do so. Don't forget now, nothing is ever organized as Axel. We know where everything is. Everything and has a place. That's true. Oh yeah, I remember where it is. The Phillips screwdriver, you know, it's underneath the table, left leg. A bit dusty by now, probably. To that paper clip you were looking for back at Christmas. Phoenix says, my fiance and I have so many plushies that the weight of them broke the hammock. Broke the hammock. Broke the hammock we had for them on the ceiling. We haven't gotten around to picking them up yet, so the plushie. You do know eventually it's going to break your floor and then break the bottom of your house and make you a new basement, and then as time goes on even further, a new sinkhole in your residential neighborhood. We call that the queso effect.
I think those nets can really only withstand, what, 30, 50, 30, like 40 pounds of pressure from stuffed animals?
Hey,
More
you
so probably.
No, that's a funny thing. A hammock can support me. My weight, I'm around 90 kilograms.
It's not a hammock. It's one of those like mesh hammocks that are like held up into the ceiling with screw, like maybe some sort of screw.
I see. Okay.
It's not like a proper
Like the
hammock
person
thing,
sleeping hammock thing. Like this. All
not
right.
the person sleeping hammock. Nope.
For the life of me, I can't. You can't what? Then it will be the plushy sinkhole. Yes. Hi there, Kai. Kaya. Kaya. Whatever the drywall can hold, and I bet it's not half an inch. Yes. You know, I'm surprised how much weight paint can actually hold. Do you have one of those hook hangers that are just double-sided tape and you stick them onto the wall and you hang your towels and whatnot on it? If you think about it, it's just adhered to paint that's sticking to your wall. How was your day today? Doing okay? Thanks for asking. Hold on. What? Well, Vesper had to go for a little bit, so that's just you and me, Chad. A drywall can hold me if I screw it correctly, which I do. Physics. Glue is sometimes stronger than the material it's bonded to. That is very much true. Man, have you ever had that, what was it? It was this double-sided tape by 3M, the VHB ones. It's color red in like the Teflon part, and it's dark gray like epoxy on the actual sticky part. Oh yeah. Even now I can hear the raindrops outside. The rain being incessant. Pestering me for the past, what? More than 7 days now? And for another 7 days to come, or more, because I checked the weather map, the satellite images. There are so much forming over at the oceans. I worry the entire month is going to be rainy. Teflon's toxicity, huh? Well, thank goodness I'm not using any of the non-stick cooking frying pans. Use Teflon, right? Oh well, we're probably ingesting so much anyway. It might be a tad bit too late. Just another month, says Kendall. Yes. Either galaxy. Have you checked your new apartment and how it's handling the rain? Oh, I have. If anything, I've actually reduced the amount of rain ingress by more than half. I can't exactly close the windows, which have the big rectangular hole for my air conditioning, but I at least patched up most of the prison cell holding area looking bars. It's over at my media channel in Discord if you're curious what it looks like. Junior says, I wish Malaysia have a lot of rain. I'm tired living here today. You feel like you're in the desert. So it's very hot. If anything, I need a week of hot weather so I can paint my waterproofing material on every nook and cranny that needs to be sealed. I would trade places with you for a week. Then it can rain all at once after I'm done with my renovations. Thanks, Jam. Hold on. Let me fix this real quick. Uh-oh. No. Actually, that. I hope that didn't mess things up. Wow, we're almost at 1 hour, aren't we? Yeah, looks change. And Mr. Andreas here has not tuned in as of late, apparently. I have been like this for around 2 weeks now. Ah, okay. You're gonna need a fan to circulate the air so the sealant doesn't ferment. Yeah, right, aren't ya? Looks like I'll be relegating one of my fans then. Thanks for the reminder. I was thinking of getting one of those industrial fans. You know, it's like a funny tubular shape to it, and then it just. How much was it? $40? I need to check. It should also help with the drying of the rain that collects on the damn floor. The only saving grace is the flooring of my apartment is concrete, and on top of it is, those sticky linoleum squares. So there's no real wood to rot. A big ass fan. Yes, Kendall. Hi there, Nisha. Yeah, pinged you. You listen. If you want to watch me on my your phone, you view me over at not Twitch. If you want to watch me on desktop, that's where you view me on your computer via Twitch. I fumbled my English there, didn't I? Huh. Sorry. It's hard not to feel sleepy when the weather is unusually colder than what you're used to. You know when it rains and you just want to stay home and be covered in your nice soft blankets and melt into the bed. Yeah, did you even sleep? I actually did. I got a good 7 hours of sleep straight. I was at 6.5. Oh my goodness, my gosh. Count my stars and garters if it ain't Caro. Hi there, Kai. How are ya? Always nice to see ya. Oh, wow. Yonicals. I just woke up and good morning. Well, good morning to you. My Italian lame friendo. I hope you got a proper amount of rest in comparison to most of us. 3 yawns in a row. My goodness, chat. I'm not sure I can promise a 4.5 stream like last time, but let's see how far I can go. My usual mileage is 2.5 anyway. But yeah, here. To trying my best. Oh man, I wonder how many people you're making yawn. I have a guess that most of you in chat, you just yawned, didn't you? You went all mouth agape, without even noticing it, and then, like, ooh, the streamer made me yawn. I did always get some chunky sleep. 30 hours of sleep. My goodness. Man, what's the last time I slept that long? I don't remember. How about the yawn counter? I'm trying to find it. Partially. Only had 2 hours of sleep. You, Mr. Toby. Toby of the Johnsons. Need to get more sleep. The blue scales did. Good. Phoenix says it most definitely made me yawn. And it's only 10 a.m. here, 2 hours into my workday. Too early for yawns. A yawn of boredom, probably. It's like whenever I go to the office and I haven't booted my head yet, and like, oh God, wonder what task I have to do today. Then I wish it was 5 so I can clock out. Or 6. What time did I go out before? I don't remember. I think it was 6. Big sleep, snuggle with cat. Me too. Whenever I sleep, I always have some puss cat on my arm. On my arm. That like he balls himself up and sleeps under the blanket. And it makes it darn hard to wake up when you have a nice, comfortable, smooth cat that's warm, snuggling up to you. You look like a dragon with a Nova Beast next to it. It's just the goggles. It's promise. Because these are Nova Beast goggles. I usually get 1 hour of sleep, says Troy. So 2 hours last night is good for me. Well, that's not good. You're not gonna live long. Finally, not an e-boy. Here you are, Jarek. I am cleansing your FYP. What's this? Slept a solid 36 hours. People thought I died because I'm... I too would think you would not wake up if you're unconscious for a whole 36 hours. Isn't that like medical coma territory? Hello, forgotten. Somebody get Geb a cold brew. I would sip a little. Unfortunately, my constitution doesn't mix well with caffeine. You're gonna end up giving me palpitations. I don't know, I'm really weak to coffee. I absolutely love the aroma of it. How warm it is when it touches my lips and the taste. But my system does not agree as much as my tongue does. Just a little bit and I start getting jitters, anxiety, manifesting panic demons when they've never even existed before. Some chatters are insomniac. Here, says Pink Dew. Yes. You gotta aim for 4 hours minimum of sleep, says Bev. That is very sound advice. Hi, Matt. Any cool trick with the updated Avi? You'll see in time. It tends to happen naturally. The presentations. It's very subtle, really. He simply evolved, yes. Face tracking. Yes. Axel says, I'm gonna enjoy the smell of coffee in the morning that my roommates will be making. I don't drink it myself, but I do love the aroma. You and me both, Axel. Ah. For me, I attribute it to the smell of a brand new day. The air is so productive, inspiring sunshine, kissing your skin, and better accompanied if you have some scrambled eggs or even sunny side up and bacon, with a touch of butter being sauteed. Butter on fried rice or anything fried, like onions, for example, just smell absolutely divine, doesn't it? Like, you know it. When you saute onions or garlic fried rice, the most simple thing, the moment it hits the pan and it starts turning brown, it's like, it's, and then you smell it. You smell it in your entire house. Like, oh my God. Cafes smell absolutely amazing. Yes, that's true. That's one thing I like about the local, I think it's called Coffee Bean here. It's the analog to Starbucks. So Coffee Bean here, when you go there, it's nice, it's quiet, it's very roomy, and it's not noisy, which I like. Hello, Blue Velvet. uh, egg in a nest. Egg in a nest? What's that? Egg in a nest? Is this some analog for having an egg in a cutout on a sandwich? Boy, hello, Discord. My Discord is nothing but a sad shade of gray. What's going on here in welcome and verify? Hold on. I am alt tab to Discord. Ooh, look at all the people joining and leaving. Media. I see cute authors being shared. Alright. Adorable. I'm not gonna leave, the music is making me sleepy. Alright. So it's a common occurrence that most people here in my streams, they kind of fall asleep. And I won't blame them for it, given the rather calming ambience and everything, and all I do is drone on in my yapping. Eventually, I think they tune out and just perceive my voice as white noise. And then they drift off into slumber. Yes. Axel says the egg in a nest says you cut a hole in a slice of bread, toast it a bit, crack the egg in it, and let it toast a bit over. Flip it over. Oh, that thing. I remember seeing those in the funny little sandwich makers being sold at AliExpress. But then here you are, not allowed to sleep because chat might scold and beg you to stay. That's true. I am getting quite lethargic because of the rain. Oh no. Are you French? No, I'm not. I knew people ask if I'm French. That's a long name. I'll call you Leonard. Beth agrees that rain makes everybody sleepy. Oh, it absolutely does, doesn't it? I think it's because of the idea that, oh, it's raining, whatever plans can be conveniently excused to be moved to another day, and I can just chill at home and have the nice sound of the raindrops and pull the sheets over me and just Time travel. A 15-minute, I'm just gonna close my eyes for a while quest turns into a full blown 13-hour thing into the future. Happened far too often. Rested, you need to be in good health. I haven't even streamed an hour and a half and you're making me go. To be fair, the past 2 streams I've been breaking the 4-hour mark, pretty much double my streaming time. I think it was even 5 on that one. But it was for a good reason. I am trying to raise a bit of funds. So the very least I can do is keep you guys company. Now, I don't want to do what I see most other people do. It's we sleep on stream. So I'm just going to be like this the entire time. And then my body's gonna act weird because my trackers are gonna fly off and whatnot. I would rather give you active entertainment and conversation, albeit shorter. People don't like the French, Lance, really? Why? I'm curious. I am not educated on the topic. Would you mind enlightening me? Come on, tell me about this. What's with the whole French thing? Oh, why is there ground on my beans? Hold on. There we go. I mean, if you can make money while sleeping, that's kind of lit. That's true. 100% props to those that can. But I do not have the entertainment capacity to do any of that. I don't know, maybe I might fall asleep next time. Again, if that funny thing on the bottom left of your screen gets filled up, I'm gonna buy a couch. A nice big 4-person couch so I can sit, I can lie down and hopefully not pass out on stream. I've always been wanting a couch. Like, I envy it when I visit the friends' places, the houses. And they have a couch, and when you sync, like for example, like hey, yeah, I'll just sit here, okay? And then when you go sit at their couch, you just you feel the air coming out of it, and you sink into it, and it's like the most comfortable thing ever. One 4-person couch, one seat for you, which is me, and the other for Yami. Yes, that's totally what it's gonna be for. Oh, you jump scared me, Beth. You were just doing some FNAF
Sorry.
crap, coming from that dark tunnel. And yeah, anyway, welcome back.
Hi. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
had a little bit of chores to do, but otherwise all set.
Welcome back, partner. Thank you, Anubis. Hey, buddy, I hope you get your new apartment, says Troy. Why, thank you, Troy. How sweet of you. I hope the renovation goes smoothly, too. I think it will. The community's been helping me an enormous amount. I'm not joking. I can't wait to do a bit of work done once the rain is over, so I can go post some photos and give you an update on how the place is doing. I'm sure it's not going to compare to the bigger ones out there, but look, as long as I have a proper roof over my head and a bit of room to move around better, I'm happy. The brownie. Oh, why did you have to say that, Doran? And I'm letting Pink you get away with the dance comments. Just because you made super duper 10 out of 10 fan art. No, seriously, check it out. It's really cool, chat. For those of you that haven't seen it, here, let me go flash it real quick. You see that? That's been made by Pink Jew. Sorry, TikTok, it's not visible to you. But yes, ain't it awesome? Totally gonna end up on a vinyl record or something. What's this? Kovu VT, a VTuber, is raiding with a party of 31. Oh my goodness, will you look at that? A bunch of people have decided to go drop by. Hi there, welcome. What were you guys up to? Were you playing a game? Were you chatting, drawing, or perchance maybe in VR? We came on the raid. That sounds. I would rephrase that. Raiders. But yes, hi there, Kovo. Thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Hope you had a good time along with your chat. What's this? Hola, Raiders. Yes. My pleasure. My pleasure to have you here. Hi, Raiders. I'm Gab. I sit, I talk, sometimes I stand, but most of all, I engage you in conversation. I am the quiet corner on the internet. No, not the quiet. They're at actual mute streamers. I am probably one of the most grounded, less chaotic streamers out there, using VR chat as the platform of choice. Yes. We are mainly Spanish speakers. Oh my goodness. Come on. Spanish. Hola. Oh, come on. I know a few Spanish words. We use it in our language too.
Yeah, more than I do. That's for damn sure. Don't know any.
Axel says Geb is a chill streamer and doesn't get shocked for a month. Gosh, you're making it sound like every VR chat stream. To be fair, the trend has been going on. I just never really rode it. It's just not my thing. Kudos if it works for you. Ovo would like for you to treat her as a sub. A submarine? A subway? A sub sandwich? You gotta clarify that for me. A subwoofer? A subdomain? A subdivision? A subterranean creature. So Kovo here is probably a mole. They're based on chat's descriptions. Excuse them, I'll be lurking. Kovo, you may be tired from your stream. You probably are, like me. That's why I don't raid, because I'm like dead social battery wise. Please, thank you for the raid. Go ahead, get your snack, get your rest. Thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you around. I won't eat chat, don't worry. Hello, Iron Wolf. Subsonic. Oh, I thought you were gonna say subsonic rounds. Rain probably messing with this signal. No, I'm still here. Vesper's still moving in real time for me. But yes. Why am I so thirsty? Where's all that water going? I'm not sweating by any means because it's pretty cold.
Well, you're talking a lot, so of course you're going to hydrate.
Probably. I am donating my saliva, my spit to the atmosphere, returning it to Mother Nature. That's probably what's going on. Anywho. Did I miss anything? Not really, Blue Scales. What's up, Vesper, says Andreas. Ah, yes, the Vesper fan club grows.
Yeah,
There you go,
that's me.
chat. Yep, that's her. Black, white, and an ever so fiery orange filled with love and contrast. And let's not forget the buttered corn. And there you have Vesper. Absolutely lovely. I had
Again with the
frozen
corn.
pancakes. Oh, see, I was not going to talk about the corn anymore. Yes, but it's cute. Now, who doesn't like nice buttered corn?
My ears might be yellow, but they're not corn.
I'll see you around, Kendall. I had frozen pancakes and half a banana, says Firefly. Oh. Latam. Latin America? Is that what Latam is? Or. Yes, I think that's what it is. Are you having a good day? Yes, hi. Why is nobody typing? I have a guess most of chat is starting to doze off and their phone simply fell off from their hands. And then, oh, what? Where am I? I see. Latin America. Isn't that the scope of your work? I remember you mentioning South America in passing. I wonder how many people's phones have slapped them in the face while falling asleep to your stream, asked Axel. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot. Man, look. If I were to watch a guy like me, I too would alt-tab and do my stuff, and next thing you know, I'm convincing myself it's just gonna be a 5-minute session of closing my eyes to rest them, and yes. Floor Forum says I was trapped in a marathon of yawning 50 times in a row. 50 times. My goodness. What else? Barton says, hey Gib, I have to go soon because I've got to go to work, so I will be seeing you later. And before one thing, can you please tell Vesper for me that I said hi? So hi from Spartan Vesp. See you later. See you around. Ooh. Wow, that's a weird question to ask when it's your first time here. So we are. Nope. Join me in living outside the US. Look, Beth, we don't have a contingency of security around us, unlike you. I agree, this life is too chill to leave. Welcome back, Blue Velvet. Oh, the rain today. Oh, I know why I'm feeling sleepy. I decided to have a bit of melatonin. I call it melatonin. I know. A bit of a strange pronunciation, right, Vesp? How do you say it at your end?
At least for the US. Melatonin.
For the US, it's weird. Yes. Melatonin. I had melatonin. I had some of the sleepy meds earlier because I said, you know what? I want to see if I can sleep a full 8 or 9 hours. But no, lo and behold, I got woken up because somebody was knocking on my door. It was the building maintenance guy saying, oh yeah, it's raining. We can't work to... Like, yes, I understand. I don't have to pay for government housing, so the pay is good, says Beth. I know how I imagine Beth. Beth is in when he's in like government suit mode. He's probably like Cecil over at Invincible, you know. Signal lost. What do you mean? My live is still going on TT.
It says it's no longer available on TikTok, though.
Really? It's dead?
Yeah.
It's still running
Still
on my
running,
end.
but
That's
it's no
weird.
longer available.
Ah,
I've seen
most bizarre.
It's happening on my end, and some people are also dealing with it too.
It's only on TikTok, right? Also, hi, Mini. Sorry. TikTok, can you hear me? Is the signal dead for everybody, or is it just a select few? Oh no, it's starting. My controllers. There we go. It's glitchy on TikTok. Ah, I see. Well, I'm just gonna keep that on and see how that goes. Speaking of Invincible, who's your favorite character? Omni-Man, of course. Lol, I do everything to avoid wearing a suit. I'm normally in my leather jacket and jeans. Oh, so you're even cooler. That's what you're trying to tell us. Well, I must leave, says Ragdoll. I'm on my way to work. If you aspire general insurance, maybe I get to... Oh, are you soliciting insurance on my stream? Go get to work. I use the live studio, Kaya. I don't know how I can integrate it to OBS. If I could, I would. But unfortunately, I have to use the proprietary software in order to get things running up and proper. I am so tempted to... I'm gonna re-click the stream start thing. Here you go. All right, that's it. Close that. And then let's go live again. And a one, and a two. There you go. Pretty lines. Oh, ain't it cool? The little blue and red contrast, and then a whole lot of blacks. It really sets the tone of what we do, don't we? If TikTok is going to continue to be buggy, I'll probably just not stream there for the day. It's okay. Yes and no. The correct response from every League of Legends player. See you around, Ragdoll. Thanks again for dropping by. Hi there, Izzy. There, can you hear me now? Ooh. I'm glad you caught on with the sentence and decided to use please. There, a bit of a frown. Why do you want me to frown? You at least have to tell me the reason why. Like, is it okay if you do a frowny pose for the camera? Because I'm gonna go sketch you. Like, who knows what you're gonna do with my frowny face? You might print new currency out of my frowny face and then I don't get a share. We all thought the signal was lost. Sorry, TikTok. I thought my stream was still going. There was no problem on my end until Vesper told me that it was unavailable.
Technical hiccups.
Technical hiccups. I took a screenshot and I added the noir filter. It looks like an old detective movie. I love it. Yes, I'm actually a big fan of this place. We were singing in the loading screen. It was going on for a good 5 minutes, wasn't it? My apologies. So yeah.
Things you don't notice until someone points them out.
The thing is, I have no access to my TikTok stream key, Kaya. I would have started a long journey of making things work if I could, but I'm just brute forcing the streams at this point. Hey, it works to an extent, so well, I better stick with it then. Axel says, the best moment of the wedding, outside of the obvious wedding moments, was getting out of the awful dress shoes and throwing on some comfy Adidas and undoing the jacket. Oh, nothing sucks more than restrictive clothing. That's why whenever I know how it feels, it sucks. I used to wear this for band class. Well, I was in the band before. I was the marching leader. I had to wear this funny military weird looking parade outfit which was awfully stiff and starched up and very tight. Hmm. Wear comfy clothes, champ.
Mm-hmm.
You
A
sound-
similar experience I've got is, well, I used to be an orchestra student. Wasn't anything special, I was just part of the orchestra. Uniform options were between dresses and tuxedos. I'm not particularly one who enjoys dresses, so I ended up wearing a tuxedo instead. It was itchy and restrictive to the point where, oh my gosh, I hate this bow tie. Get it off me.
Restrictive clothing, chat. From Vesper herself. Now, where were we? I can link you the software. Sure, sometime, Kaya. I don't think I've ever seen VR chat be this crisp and clean. Oh, there are VR chat streamers out there who has their fidelity cranked up. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Depending on the question, I may or may not answer. Hi there, Late. Welcome back. Glad to see you here. Is it cold there? Oh yes, it actually really is. Your new avatar is giving me character ideas for a game, actually. A game? Character ideas? Color me curious. I wonder what those could be. Do you mind if I add you on Steam? Whatever for? Do we know each other from somewhere? Have you watched Jurassic World Rebirth? Watched? I was one of the extras there, in case you noticed. I meant the 1 hour and 27:13 mark. Just doing that, like for a few frames. The Raptors, they're a really funny bunch, in all honesty, as scary as they are presented on screen. What does it take to keep your fidelity this high? Smart usage of your available resources for streaming and gaming at the same time. Allocation. And good hardware. I think you didn't make the director's cut. I got unfortunately scrubbed out. Oh well. I still got my pay though. They did give me 3 plates of lasagna, so I can't complain. How did you get your lighting to look so good? Well, I probably am using what little knowledge I have being an art student into my shots and visual compositions when streaming. I'm not the best, Chad. Don't ask me for tips. What's the conversion rate for US dollar to lasagna? 30 USD is one lasagna. Money to me. Yes. Lasagna coin. Let's call it lasagna coin. Who said you're not the best? Please. I'm not one to flaunt or anything, Chad. Unlike others who, ooh, I am this and that. No, I let you dictate what I am. If you think I'm cool, then awesome. If not, then I guess I'll try harder. Do better. Learn, improve. Somebody deliver him food panda for. I don't think I'm keen on giving away my address to the public, especially the internet. But I do appreciate the thought of you guys treating me to chicken. That's a rather delicious gift. Okay, Garfield. Hey, you're gonna be moving soon, pal. I am. I plan on completing the whole journey by August. Why? Because I don't want to pay an extra month of lease in the old apart. Oh, it's gonna be a very busy August. I have to renovate and I have to move stuff 2 floors up and down. Yee. I will probably be taking a week or 2 off from now, maybe realistically a week at the least off in order to settle in the new place and actually focus on work. Maybe 2 if there are unforeseen delays and whatnot. But yes. What's your transport? Oh, I use my motorcycle. So what game are you in? VR chat. It's free on Steam. New crypto lasagna coin. Oh, don't let Howler hear this. Based on his throne, it's 32.78 to 1 lasagna. That is based on the pricing of the lasagna. I have a lasagna joint that is a 1-minute walk from my apartment. You can proceed to donate 3.2k so you can get 100? Oh my god. What? Let me buy a chest freezer first so I can store all of that. I am indeed a dragon, yes. I like ladies, chat. I hope that answers your question. Hold on, let me pan the camera again. I like ladies, chat. I hope that answers your question. Oh, yeah. Oh, there goes my controller. Trying to act funny. Blue Velvet says, when people say to burn all furries, I never, ever am I talking this lovely person right here. I know, look, chat, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I am trying my best to put furries in a better light. I'm trying to change the generalization that all furries are the same, overly touchy, this and that negative words community, right? There's actually pretty, I dare say, normal people like me out there. It's strange. I feel like I'm the minority in this community. But yeah, look, let's be honest. If you go into the VR chat category of streamers, I'm not putting anybody down, alright? I'm just stating facts. If you look at it, 8 out of 10 probably of the furry streamers you see out there are doing the same thing, wearing stripy socks or barely any clothing at all, and it most often than not involves bodily proximity with each other. And there's funny little animal sounds, moans, and whatnot going on. It's their thing. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not my thing. There. Look, the community has a lot of problematic people. Oh, God, let's not even get there. But me, I don't like to throw myself into drama. In fact, I am probably the most detached person from it. Like, all right, you guys are arguing over at your yard. I'm gonna stay here. I have nothing to do with that. I'm just gonna do my own thing. If you wanna say crap about me and you're gonna let other people believe it, so be it. Look, you go toil in your noise and chaos, hearsay and rumors. I'm just gonna go
Right,
chill
buddy.
in peace, water my garden, feed my fishes, and go on with life. Yeah. Ain't that the right approach, Vesper? I did post a recent photo on Instagram, right? You'll find peace when you finally realize you get to decide who to invest energy on, right? You're gonna become a sour and toxic person if all you focus on is toxicity and bringing other people down, right? And you can't move on. But if you focus on improving yourself, bettering your personality, your attitude, and everything, and if you've made mistakes in the past, you learn from it and grow from it. I do believe that's what you call growth, right? And a better thing to focus on. Nothing I can do if you're stuck in the past, Chan. It is VR, Cyrus. Junior says, by the way, we forgot to tell Vesper. Thank you for discovering us singing in the chat. Well, thank you, Vesper. I wouldn't have known my
Yeah, no
TikTok was
problem.
not working. Anonymous sent a. Wow, what you look at that? That's a tray and a half of lasagna. If only I could offer that tray to the gods of rain and to tell me, hey, can you give me a few days of dryness and so I can waterproof my apartment? And no. Okay. But thank you, Anonymous. You are probably very cool. What world is this? This is called Bar Side Rail. Do you accept Gcash? Oh, just send it over to. No, Gcash. I have my donation links. It's exclamation point tip, or you go to my PayPal. If I say Gcash chat is a way of, it's a money remittance thing. But the thing is, you have to give them your cell phone number, which is completely unsafe, in all honesty. Late says I bought myself a buldak, the spicy Korean noodles. Still didn't make it. Hopefully it isn't as spicy as they say. That depends on the color of the packaging that you've bought. Did you perchance get the, what should I say? Did you get the black one, the pink one, or the yellow one? You can give a QR code for Gcash. That's true, isn't it? Perchance. What are your thoughts on balut? You mean the boiled eggs, but it's developed already by the ducks? When I was young, I considered it delicious until I realized what was inside, and it did not suit my tastes any longer, hence I don't eat it. Taste-wise, I can't complain. Texture, it's a mixed bag. Because you have the soft, squishy bits, the soupy bits, and then the bony bits. I would rather have a different combination, thank you. I don't think I've seen any avatar like that before. I mean, the Hydra Gaia is relatively new. It's just been released by Tokyo Zilla. So, yes. Look at Vesper too. The Luna Beast has been out for a long, long while. But it's quite rare that you see one out in the wild. Even more so the draconic variant, like what you see before you. Oh yeah. What's this? I say I'll try anything, but I won't try that. Balut, in all honesty, there's a good reason why I stopped eating it. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a good sensory dining experience.
It is totally not a good sensory experience. I probably enjoyed it when I was younger because I had zero knowledge on anatomy or any of that bit. I saw egg, it tasted salty and good, I ate it. And then as I learned about intestinal structures, bodily organs, bones, and undeveloped things, I started questioning my choice of, do I really want to keep eating this or I can eat something else? Late might be black. What's black, Late? Your voice is working perfectly with my AI auto subtitles. Windows has that built in. Really? Windows? It works on any video? Amazing. Potato, potato. Watermelon. Did that register? I hope it did. Yes, Queen, I'm Filipino. Why? How come my chatters in TikTok, whenever they find out I am from the PH, I'm Filipino, they go crazy. Are you Filipino? Like in all caps, and they like need validation for it. There's nothing special about me being Filipino, chat. We're all just people at the end of the day, regardless of who, what, or where you're from. Southeast Asians are very vocal. Oh, yes, we are. And very abrasive with our jokes. Not on this arc thing. Wait, you're Filipino, Bev? Ooh. If only I knew you didn't have a concealed carry, I would
We had a dime.
I
every time
would-
someone asks, "You're Filipino." He'd
I
probably already
would-
be in that.
stick a hot pan of lasagna on your elbow when you're not looking. Yes. You know, like oh. That's what I'm gonna do. Noodle says because we're poor AF and do not expect someone to have something like this technology. Hey, come on, don't discount us Filipinos. There are lovely, very big VTubers out there that's from the same country, like with millions of followers. I don't follow. I am not up to date with the trends on VTubers, but I know there are a few Filipinos out there, and they're on par with like the what's the popular VTuber companies that's not VShojo, which is going down right now. The issues, but
Mhm.
yeah, you know what I mean, right? They're very big time. Me, I am but a drop in an enormous ocean. Trust me. I appreciate the compliments though. Maraming salamat mga kababayan. We're trying our best. It's hard to find people like you. Oh, I guess that's a good thing. I hope there's more well-mannered individuals out there, in all honesty. Courtesy seems to be a dying trend nowadays. It's all about asking directly, no hi, hellos, please, thank yous, and you're welcomes anymore. Quite sad if you think about it. Something basic taught in class. I know people live on such borrowed time that they just want to be direct to the point. I like being direct to the point. But when it comes to courtesies, it's not something I would skip. How hard is it to allocate zero point 0.2 extra seconds to say please, hi, or hello? Right. No wonder so many people are called Karens nowadays. Gerga says, my brother is half Filipino, so for me it's always nice to meet other Phils. Ah. Life coach Geb is here. Life coach, please. It's kind of sad when I think that pleases and thank yous are starting to sound like a lost and forgotten art. Quiet hook, I see. Too much controversy. Controversies, huh? Yeah. As I've stated, the biggest reason why I don't really follow a lot of people or don't collaborate at all is not because I don't like you, period. Just because I don't follow you doesn't means I hate you. That's a big misconception. No. I don't follow you, or like we can be chatting, but I don't follow you. You know, we can hang out, but I don't follow you in your socials or I don't watch streams and whatnot. Not because I think you're bad. It's just not the type of content I consume. And a lot of people seem to take offense to that. It's this pretty irksome trend in which people expect a follow for a follow. You know what I mean? You're gonna know because sometimes they would follow you and then you're gonna notice they unfollowed you shortly after because you didn't follow them back. Like, what was the point of us trying to be friends then? Yeah, you don't owe anyone anything, really. Go to my TikTok. Look at how many people I'm following. The most amount of accounts I have following is Instagram second and then my ex first, Twitter. Because in my Twitter, I follow all of these lovely artists. I like it. I like seeing their art in my FYP and everything. I don't subscribe to any sort of drama hunters and everything. You know what I mean? Some people make chasing clout their main thing. And I really gotta ask, don't you have anything better to do in your life than chasing and nurturing toxicity? My goodness. Oh, yeah. Late says, how do you forget to say please and thank you? It's basically melted and hard coded into. Same here. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good day. Right.
I mean, it could like also vary on like the culture around you, I guess. I mean, here in the U.S., we've got so many people just pushing you around, shoving when you're at like, say, supermarkets and all that. Like,
Mhm.
say I'd go to Costco with my parents every now once in a blue. 5 out of 10 times, I'm gonna get grabbed by someone on the shoulder
Oh, she like,
and shove me
there
out
you
the
go.
way.
What, really? Like directly? The very least to say, excuse me, I'm passing through. Right? That's
Mhm.
basic courtesy, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, may I walk past you? I'm quite in a bit of a hurry. Right? There, you don't just
Yeah, just always in that certain
shove people
town.
around. Ah. Beth said, originally from Michigan. In the colder months, we're not friendly people because it's too cold to be friendly. Well, if you've experienced weather from tropical countries, Beth, I'm sure you can say the same, or even to a larger degree. Those living in hot, humid, tropical countries, quite literally hot headed. So you're in traffic trying to get something done, get to work or whatnot. You're sweaty, it's stressful, it's icky, you wanna go home and change your clothes. It's not cozy where you can just have something enveloping you. Of course, any form of extra confrontation is gonna light the fuse. But at least we don't forget to say, I'm sorry, sir, excuse me, or what's the big deal? Oh, I didn't mean to, and things like that. Yeah, but yeah, I get it. Yes, ma'am, sir. Treat others with the most respect we can towards others and have the same energy. Yeah. The shoulders shove annoying, yes. Most TikTok lives I see are gags. All I want are these kind of lives. I'm trying my best to push out more of this. To be fair, most of the videos I do come across and actually like are the ones using their original voices. It gets tiring when you see others just rehashing the same content, the same lines from movies and shows, and then they do skits over it. There's the originality in it. I would very much prefer you just being boring, quote unquote, by streaming standards and talking, but at least you're genuine, right? Ah, yes, here is Gebos pontificating yet again. No, Chan. Oh, one more point. Just for the record. Just because I choose not to interact with you doesn't mean I consider you beneath me. No, I think all of us have the choice of saying no to people and things, right? We don't like being force fed things down our throat. Just like my streams, if you don't like it, you can just close it. Move along. No hard feelings. No, really, no hard feelings. Some people can't take no for an answer. Like they have expectations out of a streamer, for example, and then the streamer doesn't reciprocate or deliver on these expectations, these parasocial ones. And then just because they say no, no, thank you. For example, people like, hey, can I boop you? Can I squeeze your nose? Can I cuddle with you? And I say, no, I like having my own personal space. Thank you. Immediately, because you turned them down, they will spin stories and tales about you being the villain. Right? Like, oh, he's a nasty person that looks down on people and doesn't say, like, doesn't interact with us because we're small and this and that. Do you see how much added information that was not factual was present in that story? And then we're
Is it
gonna have
really that wrong not to want to be touched by a complete and total stranger?
exactly.
Like, seriously,
Right?
I'm a lady. I go out in public, someone grabs me anywhere on my body, I'm gonna freak out, of course.
Yeah, it's not just about the physical aspect of it as well, Vesper. It's just people taking no or being rejected in general, and they They can't take it. So they're gonna start being toxic and say crap about you and whatnot. Eh, and they can't move on from that. It's quite pitiful, really. Like, wow. Instead of moving on with your life and getting better, less toxic, you choose to dwell on those things. You would invest so much energy in trying to hate someone else and pull them down. Yet you can't invest the same energy in bettering yourself, right? Litz is like, oh my god, Gab is so stinky and rude. Please. I would probably be made of a bar of soap at this point with how much I tell chat to go shower, especially in my Discord. It's okay, Blue Scans. Your camera is so nice, says Lexi. I'm using the default VR chat camera and my hand isn't tracking. Sorry, chat. Well, I wonder if I can reset it real quick. I hope my cable has not been removed. Ah, it has, as always. What's new? Sorry, chat. Where on earth is the plug? God damn. I should have done this before stream. My apologies. How about we go look at Vesper? And I took a picture. There we go. I shall be
Hi, chat.
troubleshooting.
Kev's just sorting out some technical errors.
Yep. There we go. Plugged in. Nice and dandy. You see, Meta has this funny thing where after around the 2-hour mark, the controller starts to lose tracking and everything, and you have to go reset it. And it gets worse as the battery goes lower. That's the behavior I've observed. Oh well. Alright, now let's see if that works.
Anyways, hi, chat.
Upsy daisy. Reset. You gonna behave? No? Oh well. Guess we're sticking with the faulty hand tonight, chat. Gab was inspecting the bar stool. Let's stick with that, yes. How long have you been friends? Well, that's probably a year or more now, right? If it's friends we're talking about. Liam says people who never take a chance never get ahead. Just a reminder. That's true. So don't be afraid of asking, right? Go ahead, shoot your shot. But if you get turned down, don't crumble and turn toxic. Learn from it. Try in another place, another destination, another person. Gabo's yoga moment. You know, Bev, I was probably checking if a few loose quarters got lost or misplaced underneath the bar stools by probably inebriated patrons unaware that their money is slipping out of their pockets. Totally a joke, obviously. Just the Quest Pro being crappy. Everyone I talk to. Yes. A good case and example is Vesper. Vesper has a Quest Pro that is around, 3 months old right now? Yeah, it's 3 months
I got
old.
it in March.
Yeah,
And
she
I'm
got
still
it in
facing the
March.
same exact issues Gab is.
It's a software thing. My Quest Pro is more than 2 years old. And me and Vesper have the exact same issues. It's meta being meta. Look at this. My hand is not returning anymore. Maybe if I leave it in the charger for a bit, it will try and behave. Before that, let's go to camera 1. Oh my goodness, the rain started pouring again. Ah, hold on. Can't believe I'm troubleshooting again. Anyway, so if I leave this here plugged in for a teeny tiny bit, there is a small chance it may self correct after 10 minutes. So let's bear with my one hand being here for now. Anyway, yes, the stool was not pure steel. It's obviously aluminum. Quite the danger to those that are rather calorie rich or dense in mass to sit on. Thank you, Eline. Hmm. A RAV4. Big bone. Yeah. There was a study that that's actually not a thing, Chan. I feel like they should make those controller batteries a bit chunkier. It's actually pretty heavy already. Hmm. Well, Amulet, I can't blame you for that. In theory, my controller should charge around 10% in 5 minutes if my mental math is correct. Or just use AA batteries. I would if I could, but unfortunately, the Quest Pro controllers are using an integrated solution. Yeah, I can't even manually turn it off by simply removing the batteries. I remember when it had a software hitch, it sort of soft bricked itself, and I had to wait until it ran out of batteries. And when not in use, it enters this low power mode, so it took me like 2 days before it ran out, and then I could properly reset it again. Huh. Yeah, I know the dangers of lithium ion cells. It's okay. Go ahead and have fun. Welcome back. My apologies if you could hear the raindrops. It's quite strong, really. What's your question, Inra? Hello, sparking void. Love me some batteries as a snack. What are you, Litz, a proto-gen? We are at our 2 hour and 3 minutes mark. Huh. What to do, yeah, what to do. You can't play with the danger pillow that's lithium ion. Ah, yes. I think what's nasty, Bev, is the lithium polymer cells. You know, the ones used for drones and whatnot. Those are fun when they expand and then you do a little pinprick and they go thermal runaway. They turn into like thermite. Yeah, I used to build e-bikes and electric motorcycles before, and I've been there. I've seen cells go. Yeah. Hi, Carthy. Thank you. Bro, you're like the villain in every detective movie. The villain? Do I look like a villain to you? Never mind. Forget I asked. It's the red lighting, isn't it? If you compare IT to science, IT, definitely. We're moving to a more digital, computerized, everything integrated society. So I might as well learn on that. No. I need to get my hands on some termites, says Beth. Let me buy a bag. Oh, it's simple. Instead of charging it to 4.2 volts, you go set it, crank it up to like 9 or 12. Oh, your cells are gonna be happy and express themselves in the form of warmth and explosions. Gurgelig says, less villain and more shady guy with mixed interest. Shady. Do I look untrustworthy to you? A investiture that may pay high, and you may also lose a lot. Wow. Goodness me. You should be in the movie. I can't even get my right hand working properly. TikTok Jack seems to be rather active. I feel like you would be the one of the guys to approach people in the beginning. I'm gonna be presenting the paper game, which you have to throw and flip it over. Yes, no. Please. Don't spoil it. I'm on season 2 of. No, I'm on season 3 of Squid Game, episode 1. You spoil it, you're getting banned. I like the description, Chef Wonder. Vesper, can you show Quinn out of the door on TikTok, please? I did ask you to focus on TikTok, right? Please and thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, Quinn. Gave you a fair warning. See you, not see you. You should get into the RC hobby. I would love to do so. I've always been wanting a remote controlled tank. Like a Tiger 1 or a King Tiger. Yes, I do like jazz. Lateralis is saying, I haven't stopped here in a while. How you been, Gab? Where's your Nova Beast? Wow, my Nova Beast is 2 generations behind. But yeah, welcome back to the stream. Having a bit of a hiccup with my hands, but we're trying to solve that by charging it, maybe letting it cool down. I got a bunch of vinyl. If only I had the player. What did Quinn do? As Beth said, the spoiled Squid Game, probably after being told not to. I take people trolling my warnings very seriously. It's quite simple, honestly. I wonder why people can't drill that into their head. I tell them not to do something and they will receive a appropriate punishment if they do so. And they choose to do so. You do an action, a reaction happens. I just want to enjoy. Superman. Yes. I like my face too, Spanx. Thank you. Face Cowboy Bebop vibes. Yes. Our priority is survival, money, being chill, and disconnected from the bigger problems of the world. That's me, Che. I realize you have 3 ears. Yes, yes, I do. Also, Lucifer seems to have sent a nice old galaxy, and I've been able to thank them on time. I hope you're still here, dear supporter. Thank you. Where is the orange girl?
I'm still here.
Better than calling her the corn girl, but yes, there she is.
That corn girl.
The corn girl. At least it's
Really?
orange. Yes, it's a different fruit. Corn and oranges are both equally delicious things to consume. Orange being zesty, corn being corny. Wait, no. Yes, yes. But yes, chat. To those unacquainted, this is Vesper. She's my companion. But look at that. Nice, sharply dressed. Not following our agency's dress code, but what can we do, huh? She said she doesn't like ties.
They could rip my dislike of wearing ties for my cold, dead hands.
Yes. Wait. I feel like I'm not zoomed in properly. There we go. How is orange called orange, but apple is I don't know the answer to that question. What is Vesper studying? Asks Pink Dew, if you don't mind her asking, Vesper.
Psychology.
There you have it, chat. She's trying to decipher the inner workings of the human mind. Psychology. Yes. You may or may not want to gamble, don't you? Says Vesper. Yes, that's what she's studying psychology for. I'm joking. Oh, I know, Junior. I know. Yeah, would you look at that? We have about 15 minutes remaining. Oh my goodness gosh. Ever feel like people can't handle your aura? I feel people can't handle. I think that's just called being annoying and not having any form of perception towards social cues, Ryan. As I've said before, if you are not open to criticism, you can't take no. Well, I think you need to focus inward in development first, before anything. Constructive criticism is always welcome in my end, chat. If you think I'm doing something wrong and you offer an alternative in which it could be better while aligned with my original interest, by all means I'll lend you my ears. Then we can debate if that's the proper course of action to take. Vesper's so cute. She is, isn't she? Adorable, come on.
Okay, hi.
I can't get over how smooth your movements are. So satisfying. Well, maybe because I focus more on the subtleties of body language instead of exaggerated whiplashy movements like how my other co-streamers are. Probably because I'm limited by my play space a whole lot. That's why I just maximize the things that I can do. What mic are you using? I'm using some Logitech wireless microphone. Yeah, it's a headset. A gaming headset. May I ask what this beautiful word or world? This is bar side rail. It's a lovely world with light volumes enabled. Again, bar. Side rail. Yes, I am from the Philippines. God, how many times do I need to repeat it for stream? Yes, Chad, I am Southeast Asian. All right, it's been a good 5 minutes. Let's see how my controller's doing. Come on, buddy. All right. Wake up. Yes. And so my right hand has returned. Color me curious. How many percent did it charge? 5%. I wonder if TikTok is able to have bots on stream in order to answer the FAQs. The same here. It would be a convenient feature, would it not? Of course, no problem. Let's set Willow 2, instead of it just being boring old me like this, into the Vesper cam. There we go. We're gonna put the camera a bit up because there's a tendency to look down. Or here, there we go. Yes. Awkwardly focusing on the Vesper. Hold on. Oops, I moved. It's a bit of a fisheye effect. How about this? If it's just flat. This is better now. I think this is good. Feels a bit more personal. But yes, chat, this is Vesper again. She is not Southeast Asian. She is from the lovely cornfields of Georgia. Oh wait, no, sorry about that. She's from Illinois. Georgia. I'm just joking. She's from Washington. Or were you from Florida? Somewhere in America. That's what we can be certain of. Georgia.
Georgia.
From Georgia.
Man,
what happens in Georgia?
I'd melt.
You'd melt? Is it really hot there?
Hotter than where I live. That's for sure.
Okay. I see. I like the view. I bet you do. American muscle. Georgia, the country. I've never noticed the glasses before. They're cute, says Phoenix Vixen. Yeah, she is bespectacled, chat. The bespectacled beauty. Ain't it lovely? It's rare that you see such a gorgeous presentation without being dotted by piercings and whatnot all over. I think it's very common among VR chat avatars to be overtly studded. Yes. Sometimes simplicity is best, chat.
This space model had quite a few piercings, but that's not my style.
Mm-hmm. And so the Vesper cam shall be ensued for 20 minutes. Let's do it.
Oh no.
I'm gonna go hydrate. What's the base model?
The base model's the Luna Beast.
Yeah.
By Sturmwolf.
Yeah. Man,
I'm using the older model instead of like the revamp that Storm has made because, well, the facial features are drastically different. There's 4 ears instead of 2.
Mm-hmm.
The hands are a bit more creature-esque and shorter.
I think it's just the lighting blue, but yeah.
I don't drive anything. I normally just walk or bike wherever I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a vehicle of my own, not in this economy.
Not in this economy.
Not in this economy, not while I'm still a student.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Vesper here's a college student under psychology. So, Yes. All right, because of that, we're gonna give her a break and put less pressure on her by putting the camera back on me. Also, fun fact, Vesper here has face tracking just like me. We're using the same headsets, the MetaQuest Pro. See, pretty cool. That's why she's very much organic in the interactions. Do you see how much the subtle movements just brings an avatar to life? The fact that sometimes she breaks eye contact, looks at you, looks down, it's very telling of the kind of personality a person has. I am quite excited about Big Screen Beyond's pushing of their headset as the VR chat headset, and that would make, well, eye tracking a very easily accessed feature. Well, it's a bit expensive, sure, but I think eye tracking alone contributes a whole lot. I think somebody having face tracking in VR chat to just somebody using gestures is the equivalent of interacting between a person and a mannequin. A puppet, per se, because quite literally, you are puppeteering your facial expressions with like thumbs up, rock and roll, point, fist to be happy, sad, angry. And it's just all the same expressions. There's no dynamism, the soft, silent pauses as mannerisms and whatnot, the subtleties. Oh, yeah. Hope you have a lovely day too. Chat, we are 8 minutes away from being able to say GOODBYE. Because for some odd reason, I'm feeling a little bit dizzy. Wonder why. Maybe I just need a break to stretch and stand up for 5 minutes after stream. I'm good, Vesper, don't worry.
Alright, good.
Do you have an object that shows where the camera is? Yes, the camera itself. Yeah, 5 minutes. Are you taking part in the film jam? The film jam? I don't think I'm taking part in any sort of stuff like that. Ah, yes. Thank you, controller. Sorry, my controller tends to act up. What's this? I just got here, says the monks. Oh well, self-care is important. Well, to be fair, I did stream on time today, so might be a little inconvenient to the other viewers. Of course, Marnage. The debate. The debate on what to do. It's perfectly convenient for my time zone, says the monks. I'm just a weird dragon nurse at the night shift. Oh, trust me, if there's anything weird. No, we're not weird. Wow, I'm a night owl too. Gab is never early, never late. Gab always starts exactly when intended. Ah, yes, and I have a staff, a long beard, and a nice funny hat. It's the wizard thing, Vesper. Yes, you are, Ryan. It's weird how in the verification channel where you put your password, you did your little Chunibyo monologue thing. I'm like, do I really want this guy in the Discord? We'll see. I'll give you 2 day stops. If you behave, you can stay. Epo says, this guy is my dream partner in a group project. Oh my god, please. So tired of carrying everybody in anything. Ugh. I will be the lazy one in the group for once. I'm just gonna sit back, give you advice, and then buy the snacks while you work on the project. Thank you, Inkspot. Hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Mock seems to be trying to buy
Good luck
time.
with your move.
Oh my goodness. Thanks, Mock. You didn't have to. How sweet of you. No, really. Thank you. Every little percentile that this funny bar here moves is a tremendous amount of help given to yours truly. The move isn't something so simple accomplished, really. It took a strain on my savings. I'll be honest, I had to buffer it. And I've definitely tapped into at least 60 or 70% of it. That's why I'm working hard to afford better things. And the couch is one of the biggest things that I want to get, Chad. You gotta get that. I don't mind sacrificing some lasagnas in order to get them. But yes, thank you. I have no alternate intentions. You have zero. When you say you're not suspicious, you sound more suspicious, you know. $1,600 is a lot of lasagna. Well, it surely will last me quite a while and I may probably be sick of it, but I remember spacing out food for months before, and it's all just the same old dumplings over rice. $1 budget a meal is not a lot. Two days, Ryan. 2 days. I have my eyes on you. But you need to save one lasagna for... Oh, you are right. Here's the thing though, Biff. My Tuesday or your Tuesday. If it's your Tuesday, that means it's my Monday, which is actually my stream day. I stream on a Monday, which falls on... No, wait. No, that's a Wednesday. And it's going to be a Tuesday evening for most. Unless you're in the Southeast Asia territory. Yes. Tuesday. I'm glad I can support by being here. Of course. I appreciate a whole lot. Mondays are my only day off. I don't think holidays work like that. How about we just celebrate my after Sunday stream as lasagna day? Let's see if I can prepare a little something. Am I hungry? No, I've eaten before stream, Chan. I wonder what it could be.
You thirsty? Tired?
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just in need of food a bit. No, I ate. It's impossible. Yep, it's moving because perfect timing. I'm moving too. I have seen your live countless of times. Hi there, brah. Now, where were we? Drink water. You know what? I think that's correct. or this is just the melatonin's residual presence in my system, making me mildly woozy. I had like, how big was the capsule? 8 mg, or it was half a capsule, so but 70% of it, so 7 mg or 6. Oh my goodness, it's 2 hours and a half. I can quite literally go disappear, can't I? So with that being said, hmm. How long does it take for you to feel? 20 minutes, probably. Let's take a quick peek. Oh no, I am not going to stall the stream today. I have stuff to do. I need to recharge my social battery by hanging out with by hanging out with the select few people. Some friends I haven't seen in a while. Oh God, we're so close. No, we're not close. I'm almost at the top row. They're all e-girls at the top.
Nothing's gonna.
Oh
Nothing's
God,
gonna overtake the e-girls.
I
I'm sorry.
can't. I know. I'm trying my best. We'll get there one day, chat. We'll get there. Maybe in one more year. Yeah, my streams are a bit of a slow climb when it comes to growth. But yeah, why is my background still me in that old level I was? I wonder. Nope, we're good. We're great. We're closing it. Okay, maybe I look at this aura farming thing real quick. What's this? 1.1k. Whoa! Is that legal? Oh my goodness, the model is so high quality. That's nuts. It has motion blur too. What world is that? Amazing. Anyway, close window.
Close the window. Don't traumatize yourself.
Yes, I did
Don't
drink,
delay.
Beth. I'm not delaying. All right. With that being said, it's nothing special. Good morning. Good afternoon. Oh wait, hold on. Let's best friend make say goodbye first. Come on.
All right. Bye. Stay safe. Stay hydrated, and be sure to sleep plenty.
There you go. It's best for capping the stream. See ya, TikTok. There we go. Okay. So TikTok has been nuked. And then now we are here at Twitch. What to do? You know what I'm gonna do, chat? It's quite simple, really. Now, seeing that I have 78 viewers anticipating what my next move is going to be, Bye, Given Vesper says. Vixen, thanks for being a nice distraction from work. Good luck at your shift. Hi, Style Miss. Adios, Tian Man. I'll tell Vesper, don't worry. See ya, Reed. See ya, Litz, Doran, and Mox. Mox, my apologies if I'm not able to stay here on live longer. But again, on average, I stay here for 2 hours and a half. The past 2 streams, it was 4 to 4 hours and a half, thanks to my rather generous viewers. Or generous. Beth is probably torturous, wants me to stay long. Anyway, I'm not complaining. I'll take it. I will see and day after tomorrow. It's going to be a Friday of 10:30 p.m. plus 8 GMT is when my next stream is. To the Americas, that is probably going to be Thursday, 10:30 a.m. on when I start my stream. Right, Bess? Or, yeah.
Oh, but wouldn't that be Friday? Does that would technically mean you'd be streaming again
No,
tomorrow?
I'm streaming a Friday. Oh, you're right. I got confused there. Yeah, they 48 hours from now is when you're gonna see me live again. There you have it. Yeah, that's much more easier to understand. Yeah. But yes, again, let me say goodbye to everybody else. There's Mox. Yes, you too, Vesper, can say goodbye.
Bye.
Vesper sitting there making sure Geb behaves. Tianman. Swordberries. Reed, who, yeah, Swordberries knows the perk of staying here on Twitch. There's a little extra always at the end. Yes. Neko Thunder, Fluoroform, keep dry. Beth, wishing you both a good rest day and night. Oh, crap. Thank you. We'll catch up on our proper rechargeables. Little Beanie, Axel, and Mox again. Yes. I expect to see you on the next stream then, Mox. Oh, no, wait. You have work. On the Monday, you're free then. And then there's Reed. There was that one extra on TikTok. I simply forgot to turn off the camera, Reed. Or I was doing a little dance. But yes. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. And from Vesper too.
Alright,
And
stay safe, stay hydrated. Make sure to sleep plenty, and I'll catch you later.
I'll see you after tomorrow. You keep your day as awesome as you are. Bye.